Okay, I love that you have this, like, it's not really a triangle, but it kind of is. But just that it's not a normal, like, your normal average everyday flyer, and it like catches your attention where you're like, oh, what is this event? Like, I want to go to it. Which I think, especially when you're trying to promote conferences, sometimes they come off a little boring. And so I think you've really done a really good job of like making it fun. And I like that it's not a standard flyer, and so even your words are attention grabbing, and you're like, oh, it's a graduation, leadership conference, and so it's like, hey, that applies to me. Hey, that applies to me too. It's a really great picture. They both look like friendly and inviting, and they're like, their eyes are looking down, so they're like reading the text, and that's where it makes my eyes want to go. Which I don't even know if you noticed that.
I didn't notice that. That's actually good.
And then I like that your top text is a little more fun, if that makes sense. And then when you get down into your information, it's really easy to read. And even from a distance, it's easy to read.
Oh, thank you. Maybe I'll. Okay. What is the message?
Okay. So, I think, like I said, you've done a really good job of making it seem appealing to go to this conference.
Do you think it like goes, the message is like easy, clear to read?
Oh yeah, I think so. You look at it, and even from a distance, you know what it's about, which I think is important, especially when everyone's walking by day to day. They're like, we're just bombarded constantly with like things vying for our attention. So I think to have it bolded what it is that you're trying to get them to go to, and then having it broken down a little bit to find out more about what it is.
I think there's any other way I guess I could make it more easy, or is it's pretty...
I think I like it. I like that it's like off-centered. Does that make sense? So like this part doesn't come straight up into the center. It's off-centered, and then so even though it just kind of makes sure I go like, it makes your brain process a little more in a good way, so you
like
put more thought into
contrast.
Yeah. Speaking of, your contrast is really nice because you have your black and white and gray, and it ties really well back in with your logo, so all of it like flows together. I think you have a good amount of white space, so it's not overwhelming.
Okay, that's
but then you
good.
also use your space very effectively. Everything is described really well. I think your audience is going to be able to identify your message, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think, I just wasn't sure. I just tried to make this as big as possible to make it all work together.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You achieved it in a very good way.
Okay, so now, go for it.
All right. So, looking at this a little closer, I noticed that the picture doesn't line up exactly with the edge. And so I don't know, you probably want to fix that. And then to maybe go in and take out the hyphens. Just so it doesn't like awkwardly break it up, and it makes it look a little more professional or clean cut, I guess.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I really like everything. Those were the only two things that I noticed. Was just that the alignment didn't go all the way.
Yeah, it didn't. I thought it did, which was really funny. But it looks, yeah.
Well, because I didn't notice it until I was like looking at it, and I was like, oh wait.
I didn't see it. I didn't realize that. Yeah, making sure that the alignment's right on will probably be.
But I mean, that's like it's a small margin of.
Right.
But I like how everything is broken up otherwise, and those would be like my only two critiques, or that.
You're sure, and the white space isn't too, like, you think there's enough, like.
I do, because I think if you made your text like any smaller, or like tried to move it anywhere, it just wouldn't flow as nicely as it does. And I like that your fonts contrast each other. So,
Mhm.
like I said, you have your fun on top, and then it's more, it's kind of like a
Easier.
mullet party. Or
Yeah.
business in the
The
front,
front,
party in the back. Party at the top.
And then business at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
So it's like a
perfect.
reverse mullet, but I mean.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll go back and fix the alignment for sure.
But I mean, other than
then-
that, I wouldn't really change anything else.
Yeah.
Maybe break this up a little, like space,
Oh.
like give it one more space just so
Mhm.
that you like read it as like, oh, you can register and this is when it is.
October, yeah.
And maybe even switch them just so this isn't like the last thing that they read. But maybe more one of the first things was they're scanning left to right,
That makes sense.
that their eye catches.
Well, that's perfect. Thanks, Alana.
You're welcome.